Joining us for more on that entire dispute and tussle between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu on the Cauvery river water issue is Shreeshan Venkatesh. He is a journalist with Down to Earth. Shreeshan, thanks so much for joining us in the studio today. I'm going to start by asking you to give us a little bit of an explanation, a little brief history on this entire dispute between the two states.
So the Cauvery dispute is nothing new. I think anyone who's kept track of the discussions going on will know that this started more than maybe 130 years ago now. Before that, Tamil Nadu had a pretty well set out irrigation infrastructure in Karnataka, which was the princely state of Mysore then, did not have much of that. And so Tamil Nadu used to use the water much more than Karnataka for agriculture. As Karnataka, as the state of Mysore, tried to build its own infrastructure, the Brits opposed, and that led to the first agreement. And then in the 1892, and then the second agreement came about in 1924, which gave Karnataka a few more rights to build reservoirs. That lapsed in 1974. Since then, we've been in a bit of a limbo. So there was an interim agreement that came into play in 1991. But then the CWDT, the Cauvery Water Dispute Tribunal, was also set up to provide the award, which finally came in 2007. But it's been disputed since then because neither Karnataka nor Tamil Nadu feels, that the award does them justice.
Right, and you mentioned the tribunal. You've talked about the fact that this has been a dispute for more than 130 years now. But what are the main issues? What are the key issues on which talks continue to fail?
So the first thing is that the tribunal has awarded, each state, each of the 4 states within the basin, quantum of water. All of these states submitted the requirements based on which this quantum was awarded. But the water does not have enough flow to satisfy all of the states' demands. So each of them has had to take a little bit of a cutback on what they wanted. This has nothing to do with, politics or anything like that. It's just that the river does not have enough water to take care of everyone's demands. So it's actually up to the state governments to increase their own efficiency of water use, which they have not done.
So are you saying that the lack of water has been in existence throughout this dispute, or is this a recent phenomenon that we've seen over the past, let's say, 20 to 30 odd years?
If you look at how much water each state asked for, then you would see that even in the best of, even the years where there's been the best of rainfall, the Cauvery really can't take care of all that requirement. So the tribunal took those 17 years, looked at what kind of existing usage there was, and as per that divided the water for each state. And they even said that during the stress years, the distress would be shared proportionally by each state. This is a distress year because Karnataka, especially close to the source of the river, has not received normal rainfall. It's received 28% deficit rainfall, round about that much. So, and even through the course, it's been a deficit in Karnataka. Tamil Nadu received very good rains in the winters. They don't usually depend on the summer rainfall. So we'll see what happens during this winter as well. But according to the tribunal, they're supposed to share the distress equally, which Karnataka is not willing to do because they don't want to release any water to Tamil Nadu and Puducherry.
So we talked about how the Cauvery just doesn't have the sort of output necessary to satisfy the demands of both states. Do you think then it also demands a requirement on both sides of both Karnataka and Tamil Nadu to relook at agrarian policies in terms of their irrigation policies? Is the way they're farming in those two states has to be relooked at, keeping Cauvery's output in mind?
Yeah, definitely. It's not just farming, it's industry, it's the cities, it's urban use, it's everything. Let me give you an example. Bangalore, it used to get 19 TMC. Their current requirement demand is 29 TMC of water from the Cauvery. They pumped this up a height of about 550 meters from the Cauvery, a distance of 100 meters. In fact, 3/4 of the budget of BWSSB goes in this activity, and they waste 50% of it through leakages. This in a city that already has its own natural tributary, the Kravati, as well as several lakes. It would just be more efficient to use the water in the lakes, to recycle their own water, to plug all the gaps, all the leakages. But that's also more work.
Right.
It's just easier to rake this issue up every time there is a deficient rainfall.
Right. In fact, we're going to go across now to listen in to Mr. Deve Gowda. Now, let's give you a little background. Karnataka's Chief Minister is also all set to hold another meeting to seek consensus on the Supreme Court order. Meanwhile, former Prime Minister and Janata Dal Supremo, Mr. Deve Gowda, has launched a protest against the injustice. Let's listen to what he has to say.
We made a humble request to send this same monitoring committee, let them visit one day Tamil Nadu, one day Karnataka. That's all. And report the matter. Monitoring committee has decided 3,000 cusecs. They have decided 6,000. All right, we'll accept. But please visit and tell. The monitoring committees, they have got the confidence. In our statement, they may not. But monitoring committee, why Tamil Nadu opposed tooth and nail?
Shreeshan, clearly everyone is sort of pouring in with their own opinions on this entire issue. We're running out of time, so I'm going to ask you very quickly to give us an idea of what you think is there a resolution in sight for this dispute, and if there is, what exactly is it?
I don't know if there's resolution in sight. Most of the people who are very closely connected to this dispute say that it's gotten out of hand right now, and it seems to be too far for any kind of resolution. But that doesn't mean that there can't be a resolution. One of the biggest issues is the way we look at the river. Both states look at the river, just as we heard, as some kind of a thing that to have a right over it. It's our right to use the water, it's our right. It's not really looked at as a shared resource. This is not the only river in the world where there's a dispute or that crosses borders. There are several rivers in highly sensitive places like the Middle East, which have a good agreement in place, and there are no problems with sharing the water. Over here, we look at it as a right. We have to start looking at it as one unit, one natural agroecological unit that needs to be shared responsibly and efficiently. There can't be a sustained solution without bringing efficiency in, because the number of people who are going to want to use the water or the requirements of the river are just going to keep on increasing. So we have to increase efficiency as well.
Right. So in summation, really, it has demands a broader focus, perhaps, to look at this entire issue and not concentrate just on a right-based argument from both sides, but really looking at the entire utilization of resources that we have in place. On that note, Shreeshan Venkatesh, thank you so much for joining us here in Wion with your perspectives on that story. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of our bulletin. I'm Aisha Sindhu. You were watching Wion. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back after a short break.